All right, in this one, we're gonna go ahead and remake Gunna's Private Island off of his latest album, DS Forever. This is actually my favorite song off of the album and just want to do a remake for it, so let's jump right into it. First things first is going to change our tempo to 160 beats per minute. We're going to start off with that main guitar strum that we hear throughout the entire track. And usually I like to use stock Logic instruments, but in this case I couldn't quite find one that sort of fit the vibe. So I'm going to use a third-party guitar instrument that I use a lot of the time, or a lot. It is by Native Instruments. All right, and for this instrument, we're going to go ahead and go to Picked Acoustic, and we're going to choose the Picked Acoustic melody over here. The melody being is we can just put in the notes and define our own strums. In Picked Acoustic, it's going to be playing whatever predefined strums that they have. So we're going to make sure we're on the melody one. And I'm going to change this to the Simple Things preset. And we're going to leave it on open. I'm just going to take this pattern, I'm going to duplicate it over. Add in a note over here. We'll switch up this pattern a little bit here. All right, so there is the entire pattern right there. Such a beautiful chord pattern. I love it, chord progression. So for the next one, what we're gonna do here is just open up our instrument and we're just going to adjust some of the effects on the sounder just to make it a little bit more ambient-y, if you will. So let's get to that. First thing first, we're going to go to our guitar settings on this instrument over here. We're going to switch it over to a ribbon microphone. Listen to the difference in the sound here. We'll turn on doubling to get a nice wide sound. Push it a little bit wider. I'm going to bring more of that fret noise in there. And let's push the tuning a little bit off so that it gives it more of a realistic tuned guitar. Next, let's go over to effects. I'm just going to bring in a little bit more of that reverb here. Now to give this a little bit more of a realistic vibe on top of this, we're going to go ahead and strum these notes so that they're all not hitting at the same time. So I'm going to Command A within my MIDI region. I'm going to go over to our inspector tab here. I'll just do an 8th note quantize. And I'm going to go to Q-Flam here. And we're just going to see how the notes are being pushed off from each other. We're going to give it some glide here. Gives it more of a realistic vibe. All right, so there is the guitar melody done right there. Next, I'm going to bring in a sample that I chopped from the original track. It's the vocal sample. So the vocals that happens in the background. I couldn't quite find an exact one because it is a vocal. So I just sampled it from the original track. I'm going to bring that in right now. It just adds a little bit of ambience to the track. So here it is right here. I'm going to bring it into our spot right here. I'm just going to add in some reverb into that so we take away some of the original guitar sound. Let's go to Reverb Space Designer. All right, so now after that, we're going to start building up the track because it does get really, really big in certain parts of the track. So I'm going to duplicate this over and I'm going to go ahead and create a new software instrument track. And first we're going to start off with a pad. So I'm going to bring in Logic's Alchemy. And it's going to be like this ethereal type of pad that happens in the background. So for this, we're going to go to pads and we're going to go to the preset called Arctic Breeze. And for this sound, we're just going to copy down the same chord progression here. It's going to sound like this. Let's pitch it up one octave. I'll pitch it down one. Let's see that. That's better. Very ethereal. All right, I just want to make this more ambient-y, so I'm going to bring in a Space Designer here, and we're just going to pull up it to be quite wet. All right, next up, we're going to go ahead and put in the lead sound that happens in the background. It's another like ambient type of sound, so we're going to create a new software instrument track. And for that, we're going to create, once again, another instance of Alchemy. For that sound, we're going to go over to Keys, and we're going to go over to the preset called Flexi Suitcase right over here. We'll close that out. Oh, actually, I think on our guitar here, I think this goes a little bit earlier. So let's go push this back because it looks like our vocal sample, the guitar starts earlier here. And it does. So let's push this back as well. All right, that's better. That should be okay now. There, that's better. All right. All right, so there is the pattern right there. Now, obviously, we got to make that a little bit more ambient. So we're going to go ahead and open up Logic's Alchemy. And let's just see if we could change the performance a bit to find a better sounding suitcase piano here, or flexi suitcase piano. All right, next let's go ahead and add in some vocal choirs that are heard in the background. We're create a new software instrument track. Once again, we're creating another instance of Alchemy. And we're going to go over to vocals. Let's go down to, I think it was the O one right here. Let's just copy down the same pattern on this one. Let's go with that one. All right, next we're gonna go ahead and layer up this vocal sound. We're creating a new software instrument track. And we're gonna bring in, once again, another instance of Alchemy. We'll go to vocals. And for this one, we're gonna bring in a preset called Siren's Call right over here. And let's go ahead and draw in that pattern. It's gonna be a little bit of a different pattern. Actually, it's gonna follow this chord pattern here. So we're gonna go ahead and just cut out that. Maybe we'll pull that one up. Let's see how that sounds. Next up, now we can finally bring in the second guitar that comes in. It's more of like a strumming guitar. And once again, we're going to use a third-party instrument from Native Instruments. For this one, we're actually going to use a strum. We're going to use the same chords, but it's going to be actually strumming. So we're going to create a new software instrument track. We'll bring in another instance of Contact here. We're going to bring in Native Instruments Strummed Acoustic 2. We're going to bring in the 12 strings instance. And for this preset, we're going to bring in the Western preset. And we're going to turn on our auto chords here, change the key over to a D major, the song key of the song. And we're going to have to match our notes to the chords here that we've played up over here. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Start with a B minor there, but we got to set our playback to halftime. Down to a D. All right, now we go back up to the B minor. Same notes here, go down to that right there. Let's go and just loop this out. All right, next let's go ahead and just loop that up. All right, now we got to just manipulate the sound a little bit here. We're gonna go over to our sound tab here. We're gonna push our balance to over to the left here. And maybe we'll go ahead and add in some reverb here. We'll go to Space Designer once again. And maybe we'll bring in a plate here. Let's go to, let's try the stage plate here. So just a good guitar instrument to get those guitar strums. Now we can finally get to the drums. All of our sounds are done. Create a new software instrument track. We'll go over to our browser. Let's go to user patches. We'll go to drum kits and we'll go to private island drum kit. And as usual, we'll start off with something nice and easy. We'll start off with our clap. Next, we can draw in our perk sound here. All right, next, go ahead and draw in our second perk sound. Next, let's go ahead and draw in our open hat. All right, now let's go ahead and draw in our hi-hat pattern. All right, I think that's the hi-hat pattern right over there. Next, let's go ahead and draw in the 808 pattern. pitch that down. Alright, so there is the foundation of the track right there. My mixing and sound balance is a little bit off here. I'm going to go ahead and balance it all, mix it, come right back, and we'll have the final arrangement. So let's get to it. Alright, so here is the final arrangement right here. Sit back, relax, enjoy. Listen to the remake we just put together, Gunna's Private Island. Let's go. Alright, so right there is Gunna's Private Island remade in Logic Pro. For you Logic users out there, I will go ahead and place the entire session for all of you. In the description box below this video, if you click that link, you can open up the session and see the pieces on your own time. If you don't use Logic, I got your back as well. I'm going to go export all the MIDI stems, audio stems, and include the drum kit that you heard in this remake. That playback will also be down below the like button as well. Speaking of the like button, if you did like this video and enjoyed or learned something new, remember to drop a thumbs up. It does help out the channel. But other than that, thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Later. Peace.